Good evening, Mr. Economic Street. I'm just going to call you that now.
Thanks for having me back.
Come on, you're the resident guy now. Election has just happened, and people can see about everything regarding the election, Brexit, on your YouTube channel, which is Economic Street. So, the aftermath of the bloodbath. What happened and what went wrong?
I came on here 2 months ago, I think. We sat down when she called the election, and I
You're
said,
pretty coy about it.
and I said this was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, you could just see the writing on the wall. I think a couple of things that made the election go the way it did was the fact that Corbyn, number one, he's just a seasoned campaigner. The guy just, I don't think anyone can beat him at campaigning, like going out there locally, meeting with people. That's number one. Second of all, he managed to galvanise the youth. Third, they actually had a pretty good manifesto. In my opinion,
it was amazing when people actually saw it, when it got leaked, isn't it?
Yeah,
it
yeah.
Leaked, and people like, this manifesto is actually.
People try to really pull them and trick them up on the numbers, but for me, from an economic perspective, it's something that I'd hoped for since the austerity period came in 2010, when Mr. Osborne kept saying we needed to go through this, we needed to, you know, cut the deficit and get our house in order and all that nonsense. It's not nonsense, but to me it was nonsense. So I think this was a message of hope, like they've been saying. And I think what really shot her in the foot was the thing around their social care plan, like
For the elderly.
For the elderly. Now that was pretty much about making them pay more, like the elderly pay more for their own care rather than the state, and therefore also kind of bridge the gap between young versus old. Because if you make, the thing is, if the government is paying for your care, they have to get that money from somewhere, and the logic is that it's the young people that are going to have eventually pay for it via taxes.
Wow. That's
how the system works. So it was a way of kind of trying to transfer wealth from old to young. But you cannot upset your base. If your electoral base are old people, you do everything in your power to please them, or if you're not pleasing them, just keep them quiet. But you rouse them. So I think that shot her in the foot. And I think if this election was a bit further down the line, it would have been a lot more disastrous. Like, I thought what was going to let Corbyn down was the fact that he only had 7 weeks. But you see the damage he was able to do in 7 weeks. And it was just a combination of these factors and what I've mentioned that led to the election turning out the way it has.